Hello, everybody. Tiny Green here. Today, we're gonna recap the past season in the Shore. I'll try to make it quick. Not an easy thing to make quick because it was such a great season. Um, Truthfully, there were no surprises, but it doesn't mean the season wasn't full of surprises. And what do I mean by that? Well, first of all, we said RBC and SJV were going to be on a different level than everybody else in the Shore, and that was obviously this year. RBC and SJV, completely different level. I mean, it really wasn't fair with the amount of talent and experience and senior leadership that those two teams had versus everybody else. They dominated the league. RBC had one loss throughout the year. That was to SJV when Madison Kosis put on a show. But unfortunately for SJV, they didn't have somebody by the name of Addie Nimchek and Tessa Leggio, who were both sensational in all their contests. And then, of course, Sophie Big Game. Well, I think we changed her name, but we'll stick with Big Game because it really should be Sophie Dynamic Smith. Was just unbelievable in all three games. I mean, go look at the video because the video don't lie. She was unbelievable. And Sophie Smith throughout the year in every big game was sensational. She should just show up on big game day and say, I'm here, and then put on a cape and go do her thing. Danielle Molesky was unbelievable all year. The Minister of Defense, she really threw some great players in the freezer, especially during the Shore Conference tournament and the state tournament. Now, Lola Giordano was tremendous, and how about Savannah LeVake? Unbelievable what this kid has done. And then, of course, K3. Now, K3 is tremendous. I believe she should be All-State this year. She deserved it. She tore her ACL. But if you know anything about K3, she'll be back 100%. Tammy Reese is completely on board with her, going through her recovery. She's going to be great. But let's not forget what the SJV kids did. Like RBC, they won over 100 games. They only lost in state to one team, RBC. It's called timing and bad luck. But they gave RBC a battle in that one game that they won. And even in the second game, the third game, they were there until the end. So congratulations to both those teams. They exceeded all expectations, in my opinion. Now, with that being said there were some surprises this year. None bigger than Manasquan and Rumson. Like, nobody saw Manasquan finishing top 5 in state. Shocking. And don't forget, they did give SJV a scare in the Shore Conference tournament. So they had a great year. They had a great year. And you got to be happy for Jordan Holloway, who had an all-Shore type season. Shannon Looney was absolutely terrific all year. I mean, she did some nice things this season for them. And I don't know what her college plans are. And I never want to speculate on that because I don't know her that well. But I do know this. If I was a Division I school, a Division II school, a Division III school, I'd check in with her. Because I do think that kid's best years are ahead of her. And then, of course, the arrival of Callista Fatares has been unbelievable. She's going to be one of the best two-way players in the state next year and clearly going to be highly recruited. Or as a college coach I spent some time with this weekend said to me, man, she's got everything. Yes, she does. And she's a great kid. And then, we say goodbye to kids like Logan McCarthy, who's going to play D1 lacrosse. What a great career. What a great career. That kid won so much, it's ridiculous. And, the whole team exceeded all expectations. And I'm sure Lisa is incredibly excited about the future. And then, what can we say about Rumson? Dave Callahan, unbelievable. Aaron Reed, amazing. Like that team just was, for my money, the most enjoyable team to watch this year. They just were a pleasure to watch. They played high school basketball the way you want to see a team play, with that enthusiasm, that energy, all for one for all. Just a great year. Coach Sneck, one shot, one more rotation around the rim and through the net, and they're playing for the state title, which I think they would have won. I believe that. But they had a great year. Obviously, Allison McAndrew is now a megastar. Emily Donahue, one of the best point guards in the state. I mean, she was terrific. And then, of course, Howell had a great season as well. They surprised everybody, beating Trinity Hall twice, making it to the sectional final. Kylie Beam, tremendous. Then we'll talk about the players who stepped up this year. Hey, start out with Aaron Reed. There was no player who stepped up more than Aaron Reed. It's just that simple. Then you got Kylie Beam, who solidified her D1 status. She's a Division I player. She's got the office. Great. Gianna Sano didn't play last year. Nobody knew what to expect. I did, because I had her in MBS. But nobody really knew what to expect. Dawn Carpel gave her the ball, and what did she do? She delivered. She delivered. And she plays the game with such enthusiasm and honesty, you can't hope but fall in love with her. She was great. Jordan Holloway and Shannon Heine, we talked about. Sophie Smith, we talked about. But how about Daniela Molesky, the Minister of Defense? I mentioned her, but I really didn't mention her enough. Hey, that kid should be an all-shore player. She was dynamite. She's going to West Point. I'm very familiar with the Patriot League. She's going to be a problem in that league, folks. And then what about Ari Wesson? Folks, Ari Wesson might be the next big scorer in the shore. I mean, just unbelievable how talented she is. And her work ethic has no match. No match. Nobody is in that world in terms of work ethic. And then Bella Marino got very little respect this year from the media and from bloggers. She was great, people. Remember what Bella Marino has done the last 2 years. It's pretty special. The fact that that team could be in the state sectional final in just 2 years is incredible. So that was great. And then we got to talk about the stars, Addie Nimchek, Madison Kosis, and the Leggio sisters. People, that group of kids I just mentioned, that's a whole different level, man. The winning, the success, their ability to step up in big games. The winning and everything. Those three in particular, well, four, because the Leggios, both sisters, they just were amazing. Their legacy is stamped. I mean, just stamped. And here's the good news. Remember I told you this. All four will be serious impact players in college. Katie will have to wait a year because she's got the rehab. But all three of them will be all freshmen and major impact in their leagues. Now, let me talk about the big game performances. Like Addie Nimchek in every big game was amazing. Like, you can't name a big game that she didn't step up and put RBC on her back at some point. Tessa Leggio in Game 3 for the divisional title was ridiculous. She was flat out ridiculous. But that's who she was. And let me tell you about Tessa. Every matchup against every guard, I challenge you to go check it. She dominated. Not one guard outplayed her all year. Guards came in there with big reputations and right off the bat would introduce to the point guard that runs the show, to the point guard that is the GOAT of point guards. Best point guard I've seen in years, Tessa Leggio. And then finally, we talked about it earlier, Sophie Smith in big games, ridiculous. And then finally, Kylie Beam dominating Trinity. May have been a surprise to some, but not to me. Okay? So those kids all stepped up, Madison Coast is stepping up. There's nothing new. But those were the kids, in my opinions, that stepped up the most. Okay? Uh, and let's get to the coaches. Dave Callahan did one of the best coaching jobs in recent Shore history. I'm telling you, you may have to go back a decade to see a coaching job like that. Lisa Kokoda, I mean, it just gets ridiculous how every year she just keeps winning and winning big. People, there's winning, and then there's winning big. She's winning big every year. You don't see her sitting around crying about public schools, the private schools steal our kids. No, she gets her kids out there and says, yo, you got work to do. I got work to do. Let's handle our business. And then, of course, Nick Russo did a phenomenal job of developing that program, developing those kids, and getting them to buy in. Coach Sneck's going to find out that kids want to go there now and stay home. Joe Montana was just named for the National Coach of the Year. I can't think of a person who was more well-deserving. His senior class, in my opinion, just had the best run for a 4-year run than any group I've ever seen. From their freshman year to their senior year, I don't know if anybody has ever managed a group better and a group that has been more successful. So much for that. I'll give you my top 10. Now, just go back and look at the top 10, the preseason. It's basically the same group of teams. Some teams like Trinity, dropped a little bit. But for the most part, it doesn't change much. Coach Sneck, we told you, hey, we're starting them down here, but by the end of the year with experience and stuff, they could move up to as high as 3 or 4. We didn't expect Rumson to be as good as they are, so they didn't get to the top 4 because Rumson screwed it all up. But here's my top 10. RBC, I don't think anybody's debating that. SJV, I don't think anybody's debating that. Number 3, Manasquan. Nobody saw them finishing top 5 in the state, but that's exactly what they've done. They were terrific. Rumson, I come to the conclusion, Dave Callahan, if you give him a good guard, he will coach them up because he's the guard whisperer, and it'll help his team. And what I like about Dave, he plays the killers. He plays the killers. He doesn't care about his overall record. He says, hey, I don't care about my career record. He wants to play competition. And he does it every year. Coach Sneck finishing 5, a rapidly rising program. Coach Russo, you did a great job, but you got to improve that schedule. We can't give you that love the way we want, those top teams, unless you start playing the killers and the elite teams. Howell finished 6. Look, they would have signed up for 6 to start the year. What a great season. This close to winning the division. But they made it to the sectional final. They were terrific all year. Trinity. Look, Trinity didn't accomplish what they wanted to accomplish. But those seniors, you cannot take away with what those seniors did. Stapleton. What the heck's her name? You know what? I'm going to go look at this because I think it's important to remind people. Stapleton, Grace Feeney, Bridget Rigney, Whitney Hobson, Nee Stapleton. All of these kids were part of what made Trinity Hall special. The program 5 years ago when they were 8th graders was garbage. I swear, I just said it, garbage. And now as they walk out of the door, they're considered one of the best programs in the state. Matt McCarthy's done an amazing job of building that program. And nobody wants to talk about this, but if Tegan Drennan doesn't get hurt, where is that program at right now? Where are they at? Those seniors have a lot to be proud of, folks. They had a great career. Red Bank Regional, they did a good job again. They were solid. I'm not sure what any of those kids are doing for college, but I'll tell you this. They had a great run. WOBM championship, 20-win seasons. Great run by those seniors. Tip your hat, ladies. You did a well Well done job. Neptune getting into the sectional final again, and they did it without Ty Howard, which is incredible. I mean, John Brown just figures it out every year. And then finally, Brick, Ari Wesson, and Kendall Ferguson. I'm not saying her last name right. Two rock stars in the making, two Division I players. And what happens? Brick, I don't know, maybe when George Washington was president, they were in the top 10, but they're in the top 10 at the end of the season, which is what it's all about. So that's my top 10. I'll put it on the website when I drop this video. Now let's talk about next year. Well, next year, I think the Shore is going to go through some changes. SJV and RBC, Jesus Christ, they're in an arms race right now. Like both schools got kids coming in who are rock stars. And RBC has a couple of transfers coming in. SJV's got a transfer and some freshman guards that are just unbelievable, folks. When I tell you she's got some guards rolling in there, Dawn's going to be back baseline to baseline, folks, pressing and running. Just trust me on that. They're going to be very good. And if Lissy Lyons and Tatum Sharp and Gianna Sano have good springs and they continue to develop, good Lord, watch out. Watch out. You know, they got some talent, you know. Even kids like Avery Barth are gonna be impact players, folks. They're good. But I like Manasquan. I think they're gonna pick up a Shore transfer who's one of the leading scorers in the Shore. So they got a great player coming in to go with the kids they got coming back. And as long as you got Vittoris there and Lisa Kokota, you're gonna be a problem. You know, I believe Coach Sneck is going to be very good next year. They got a lot of experience. Replacing those two seniors are going to be an issue. They're going to have to figure that out. You know, look at Howell. Howell's got, not Howell, Trinity's got the best freshman class coming in. If you can believe that. We'll talk about that in a couple of weeks. They got the best freshman class. The problem is, their freshman class reminds me of the group that just left. They're great players and great kids. Probably going to wind up at high academic schools. Like, look at all the Trinity kids going to Emory, Tufts. You know, they're going to great schools. This group coming in, I believe this is what they strive to do, is go to these big-time D3 schools. But I do think they have talent. Like, they have talent. They have two freshmen, I think, who could be Division I players and are good. They just got to find a way to get into some competitive environments and trust themselves. Trust themselves. It's okay to struggle. It's okay to fail. In the long run, it'll make you better. I thought the Trinity group that's there now missed the boat on that. But that's okay. They went over 100 games. I believe they went over 100 games. And they were top 20, that senior group graduating, and fantastic. If this freshman group could do that before they're done, they'll be very, very happy. Neptune with Ty Howard coming back, people should be very good. They have one or two freshmen coming in that might be able to help them. So we'll see about that. Brick is going to go through some changes. Look, it's no secret. Everybody knows they're losing somebody who is a very important player to their program. But let's see what they can do with what they have left. The league's going to be different next year. I do believe, like last year, believe it or not, the Shore was down, but so was the state. This coming season, I believe the Shore will have 7 teams in the top 20. How about that? Well, they won't give them 7, but there'll be 7 deserving teams, you know. And you look at this past year, I think Rumson wasn't ranked in the top 20 at the end of the year. And the first question you say is, well, who's beating SJV and RBC twice? Nobody. And then they got to play Manasquan. Come on, man. Then they got to play Trinity when they're healthy, right? So it's hard to make it through the Shore throughout a season because it's a battleground. And next year will be the same thing. The AAU season's rolling around. We'll talk about that soon. This is Tiny Green saying congratulations to all the seniors. Well done. And let me wish all the former players who are playing in the NCAA, and there's a lot of them, let's wish them good luck too. This is Tiny Green. Please get registered for NBS if you haven't. I'm only trying to help you and guide you. Next week, we'll have our first awards, all defensive team, and our all freshman team. Keep in mind, I don't share the wealth. This is Tiny Green saying, have a great week, and I'll see you soon. Please follow me on Twitter.